So,
Hello, today we will present our assessment on emerging business model of education industry by Ankita, Ketan, Manish, myself and Tola. Next slide. So what is education industry? I will give you a brief background of the industry. So the education industry comprises of establishments whose primary objective is to provide education. As observed on our day-to-day life, we can spot a lot of education industries around us. These establishments can be public, non-profit, for-profit institution, and online platforms, which include elementary schools, secondary schools, community colleges, universities, and ministries or department of education, such as universities, UDEMY, Coursera, every day around us. The education industry has gone through a lot of changes in the past 30 years. As seen by all of us, the industry has adapted several new methods and improved one, especially in the past 3 decades. The COVID-19 pandemic has helped in further boost of the use of technology in the education industry. This was due to the fact that all of us needed to access education remotely due to the ongoing restriction, which increased the integration of technology and resource for the same. The global education services market grew from 2,882 billion in 2021 to 3,184 billion in 2022 at a compound annual growth rate of 10.5%, which depicts the tremendous rate at which industry is moving forward. Further, now I will be discussing the reasons for shift of tech in education. So, investment shift from public to private education, which has brought a lot of capital for technology to evolve in this industry. Need of the hour to provide a safe learning environment, as home learning eliminates a lot of safety issues for or from the students, such as COVID-19 or any communicable disease. For the need of convenience of the learner and the tutor, nowadays teachers can record the lectures and students can attend them at their own time, which makes it easier for both the parties. Make students engage and increase the retention of information. Technology has introduced new interactive methods to impart knowledge, which keeps the student engaged and encourages understanding of any topic rather than cramming it up. Accommodates multiple learning styles. People from all around the world can study and attend together, which was not possible 2 decades ago, showing the need of tech in education today. Encourages collaboration. Thanks to the presence of online uh, feedback portals, now students can give their feedback to the institution or services, which will keep the teachers accountable and encourage a healthy teaching environment. Prepare students for the future. As technology is the future, it fits to incorporate tech in the studies, which they will further utilize in their world. To study at one's own pace. Last but not least, one can study and ask questions at their own pace, making it easier for students to comprehend and ask out. Further, Manish and Ketan will take over.
hello, I and Manish will elaborate and the traditional education and modern education. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Kartik. First, uh, in a traditional education, teacher has a control on all the student.
And in modern education, learner has the options and control or the classrooms. Students can students can have in person and online classroom here.
Okay. In the traditional education, is a one types of a structure content, specific structure.
And in modern education, student have no any structured content, so student can explore whatever they want from any sources.
Okay. In a traditional education, it's a errorless performance because of the all the teachers and professor have some specific knowledge on the specific field.
And in modern education, students can learn from the errors and they can solve their mistakes.
Okay. Traditional education is a small step.
Yeah, and in the modern education has a large jump in the field.
Okay. Traditional education is liners and limited branches, like it's confined.
Okay. And in the modern education, the whole thing is linked to each other.
Traditional education is the local.
Yeah, and modern education is a global, as students can learn from any places and any places in the world.
It's a transfer of knowledge and specific skill, because of the all the student have a different types of knowledge and they can share it, and through it it can improve themselves.
Yeah, and in modern education, student has the control, so students can learn from the anything and they learn the problem solving skill.
Okay, it's one types of teaching process.
Yeah, but in modern education, student can learn the practical critical thinking skills.
Okay, it's control the learner, because the teacher can keep an eye on all the students.
In modern education, learning method empowers the learner so that they can stand on their feet.
In this traditional education, student can get immediate feedback from the tutor.
Yeah, but in a virtual education, students can a student has a flexibility over the time and location as they can learn from any places at any time.
Okay, in the traditional education, both the structure, student and instructor both are the familiar.
Yeah, the modern education is time effective.
Okay, traditional education, last, which is my favorite, motivating students, because all the students know each other and they can get the specific knowledge from the student and the teacher as well.
Yeah, in a virtual education, students can get the knowledge from any sources. As they can Google it, they can go to Google Scholar, and there are many sources. So the unlimited access to knowledge.
Okay. Uh, Here is a traditional learning. Some aspect, like first is the classroom. In the is all the student get together in the one room and teachers also teach them. And the second is the self reflection. It means that a student can know by themselves. And another thing is the homeschooling, by parents and their colleagues teach the student. And small group teaching, it means that student get together and they share their knowledge, and is one type of also the traditional learning. And the last is the laboratory experiment. It means that student can explore by themselves, like they can read the book by themselves.
Okay, and now this figure one is this is a framework that is how we have enabled technologies in e-learning. If we see at the top, there is a lifelong learning. So anybody can have the access to lifelong learning as we have a internet technology, e-commerce technology, collaboration technology, and evolution. And the second aspect is enterprise training, as any person can get the training from any places, as we have a digital technology, security, and knowledge management. So anybody can take the training for of anything. Yeah, and there is a third thing is globalization of education, as students can learn from any places. As we can, we have a many online courses and many online platforms that we can access the knowledge. And fourth is information knowledge repository. It means there are these things in which we have an interaction to the human computer, so we can have the access of wide areas knowledge. Yeah. So further I will give this presentation to Ankita. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Manish and Ketan. I'll talk about the evolution of educational technology and its impact. So, before the 19th century, there was a use of relia, that is, the use of objects from real life in the classrooms. And for example, if alphabets need to be taught, Apple was actually introduced in the class. So this was the way the learning happened in before the 19th century. As we proceed further in the 1960s, we can see there's an emergence of what we call now the traditional traditional education, That is, there was a talk between the teacher and the student. There was chalk, board, paper, pen, and pencil also into existence. Further, as we move, in the 1970s, there was an introduction of audio. We all would remember that there were speakers and microphones in the classes, and whatever lectures were conducted or any mass lectures were conducted, any big announcements were happening over the speakers or the microphones. Also, there was a aid of mics in the class that teachers used to teach with. In the 1980s, there was an introduction of visual education as well, wherein a lot of documentaries or projections were done in the class for the purpose of education and to make it more interesting for the students. Later in the 1990s, there was an introduction of computer based learning known as CALL, that is, computer assisted language learning, where students were encouraged to learn various languages so that they have more knowledge about the computer. Nowadays, we will see there's a lot of use of virtual reality and online learning, and we will discuss this further with models and examples. Please, can you change the slide, please? Thank you. Now we'll talk about the emergence of online merge offline model. This is like a model that we have taken from a Chinese institution, wherein they are using a tool known as Class in X, and they have implemented this model in their basic learning. This model is basically learning with the use of hybrid infrastructure, wherein this integrates the real-time learning environment, and both online and offline students can participate. This feature encourages the exchange of ideas of people who are online as well as offline. There is online communication and offline communication between students, and there is oral direct feedback by the teachers as well as peers from both the worlds. If you can see this, if you can see the diagram, it is divided into online learner, which is basically the person is at home and can study through a device. And if you can see in the right hand side, there's a classroom learning which is enabled, wherein the sound equipment, table, the interactive screen, internet router, camera, and the teacher who's going to look at the physically look at the class is also available. So these two type of learnings is something that this software enables. The teacher also can get access to automatically or manually split the students into offline and online groups that we also do right now in our sessions via Collaborate. And the teacher can also have a repository of teaching materials, or even the students can have, because it is an open educational resources available on the software. As we proceed further, we will talk about virtual reality and augmented reality model in education. And we have taken the example of a few apps that are being using currently by teachers. Virtual reality or augmented reality concepts will bring in live learning, and there are two major impacts of it. Firstly, the learning via printed materials will shift into learning via simulation, and secondly, curriculum will not be text based but more on imagery or symbol based. Here are a few examples of applications. Skyview app, it is an app that actually gives the overlays of skies, and student can actually understand about the various constellations, stars, planets, and galaxies without going anywhere at the convenience of their house. And this is done purely for learning purposes. Also, as because of COVID and a lot of problems that students are facing, teachers cannot take them out to outdoor picnics to explore a lot of geographical locations. So there's an app known as Google Expeditions that students can actually take trips with teachers and understand more about the environment. Then there are various other apps like virtual speech, which will help them to increase or develop their public learning skills. And Molly C is also an app which helps them to engage in genuine interaction with real people via virtual reality, and help them increase their language learning abilities. As we proceed further, we will also know more about Udemy, which is a very renowned business model in the world. If you see, it is divided into instructors and students. Instructors actually create the course and the and give learning support to the students, and the students just need a device with them to actually do the entire learning online via internet. There are some facts that I wanted to highlight, that around 1,57,000 courses are currently in Udemy, and around 40,000 users are currently taking the advantage of these courses. And it is said that 428 million course enrollments keep happening almost every time at Udemy. It is basically a peer-to-peer skill sharing marketplace, as I had elaborated previously. An individual can create and offer a course on Udemy at no charge. And the revenue model is that when the student actually pays the fees for enrolling, the revenue is split between Udemy and the instructor. So this is all that we have about the evolution of technology in the education industry. And we would say there has been an exponential growth in the model, and we are experiencing it in everyday life. As you can see, the differences that we have taken, there's the entire list, and we have taken references from big sites like Forbes, and also a lot of journals that we have taken. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Thank you.